it's just this overarching focus of the family that I think as long as it's like part of the core of your parenting, that like money habits are important and this is a topic of conversation, and when it comes up we talk about it. And then same with food, like you put food on the table and most of the time it's good and sometimes it might not be the best, but that's okay. We understand what
Exactly.
like
Yep.
what that baseline is, like what's okay.
Hello, and welcome to Sense of Responsibility. I'm Alec, a certified financial planning professional, husband, and chief allowance officer to 2 daughters. I'm also the creator of the Sense of Responsibility tools and how-to instruction parents need to raise their children into financially literate, money-savvy adults, even if they don't know much about finance themselves.
I'm Julie Franz, a chef entrepreneur at heart, wife and mother of 2 middle school children. I also curate the Sense of Responsibility community so parents have a forum to ask questions, share success stories, and discuss their journeys. As a financial newbie myself, I'm also cultivating our group support system to help carve out my own family's path toward financial literacy.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody. Julie, it's nice to be back with you. As we were chatting earlier, before we hit the little record button, I learned 2 things about you. Do you want to know what they are?
That I hate headphones.
Yes, that you hate headphones. I had no idea that you had this fear of headphones. You don't
Oh,
like things in your ear. The only time you wear them is with this podcast. You don't even
Mhm.
listen or watch anything on an airplane. How is that possible?
I just read. It's like the only time in my life I actually read books, and I will read an entire book on 2 flights, and I don't like headphones, any kind.
So that was the first thing I learned about you. All right. The second thing is that you and I are reading the same book, The Psychology of Money. I'm reading it and you're listening to an
I'm
audiobook in your
listening to
car.
it.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Because my first question actually was going to be, okay, well, what's been your favorite read lately? Is this your favorite read lately?
I listen to bits and pieces. I'm really bad about keeping on one book at one time. I have maybe 5 or 6 books going at once, so whenever whatever is, like, the topic on my mind, I switch to that. But I have really enjoyed it. It's given me a lot of perspective on things, like new ways to think about things and put meaning to it. You know, like, why did I do that? Oh, and it kind of, like, just starts, I don't know, giving some color to why I do the things I do with money.
I mean, I have to tell you, first of all, I read a lot, but I don't read a lot of books. I read a lot of news. I read a lot of articles and, just in life and work and with kids and stuff. I find I just don't have a lot of time for long form books. And 18 years of being in the financial industry, people have been asking me, "Oh, well, what book can I read? What book can I read?" And I've always been like, "Nothing. I don't have a recommendation for you there. Until now.
Oh,
This book I
wow.
love." Yeah. So it's The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, Housel. And we'll put links in the show notes for everybody. But I wanted to tell you why I love it, because it's so fitting for sense of responsibility and parents and everything. As I talk to different parents along the way, I hear a lot of themes repeat. And one of the themes that I hear repeat from many is the theme that you said to me in the past, really when you first started with the allowance with your kids and everything, which was that you're like, well, I don't know a lot about money, so how am I supposed to teach my kids? Right. And then there's this fear about that, right? This fear about money, shame about money, call it whatever you want, but there's like this mystery, let's even call it, about money and finance. And if it's mysterious to me, what am I supposed to do with that? Is that a fair characterization?
Totally, yeah.
So, what I really found interesting about this book is that it explains the disconnect between that fear and the reality of what we're trying to teach our kids. So, right here, even on the back cover, I think it says it very well. I mean, it explains it in depth in the book, but the back cover, it says, doing well with money isn't necessarily about what you know, it's about how you behave. So if we think of money as behavior and finance as science, it's like two entirely different things. Because I almost want to like argue or offer to you, and you tell me, I want to get your feedback on this, is it finance that's scary, or is it the behavior around money in your day to day that you find scary?
For me, it's all of
Yeah,
the above.
really.
Well, I've gotten better. I've been using YNAB for the last 4 months, well, since the new year, and that's really helped me a lot to keep my money. I think it's like putting it at the front of your mind, right? Because I think we think I don't know enough about money. I don't know about the science of money. I don't understand money, and so I'm just going to like put it off. I'm going to use it. I'm going to go through life. I'm going to do whatever I'm doing, and hopefully it all works out. And I think even just similar to core, YNAB helps me keep money front and center. So I'm checking it every day. I'm looking at where the money goes and questioning, do I need that subscription, or why did we spend so much that month on that? And it's getting me thinking more about it. So my behaviors have changed a lot in just fine tuning like my attention towards it.
Mhm.
So no, my behavior is no longer my fear because I'm more analytical about my daily behavior and I question it. But I think in the past it was more just this combination of like not behaving in the right way because I didn't understand it, and then not even trying to understand it because it's hard or scary. So you just pushing it off. Does that make sense? I mean, I think it's like a combination of both.
Well, what's interesting though is that you didn't say anything about finance. When I think of finance and what people might be scared of, it's well, I don't know about stocks, or I don't really know the inner workings of a mortgage,
Oh,
or
yeah.
I don't know, oh, well, if I want to donate somewhere, well, I don't know the tax implications about that. I don't know about tax. Like to me, that's all very scientific, but it doesn't have anything to do with our behaviors at
Right.
all.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, and so so how this is really making me think is in the context of you and of core parents is, and what we're teaching our kids, it's that, behavior wise, that's what we do when we talk about, okay, giving our kids experiential learning opportunities, giving them ownership over money, giving them freedom to use it, having conversations, letting them practice, like all of that is behavior. And so it
Mhm.
almost feels like parents, when they hear how to teach your kids about money, they have the fear of the finance, when the reality is it's just behavior. It's just the giving them money, giving them freedom, having a conversation here and there, giving them practice. Oh, you lost the 20 bucks and things like that. So it's like they're almost fearful of something that isn't there, or they're fearful about the wrong thing, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I agree. Right. I mean, I've been doing core all this time, and I feel like my kids have learned a lot, and I still couldn't tell you the first thing about stocks, mortgages, taxes, any
Right,
of that
right,
stuff.
exactly,
I don't
exactly.
know
All
any
right.
of it.
All right. So I wanted to run this analogy past you because there's an analogy that I've been using, but is always kind of stuck like, maybe that's not the best analogy. I get it. It makes sense, but I think there's a better one. And I think I found one, and I want to hear what you think about it.
Okay.
So we've been saying for a long time, right? You don't need to be Warren Buffett to teach your kids about money, just like I wasn't Lance Armstrong and I taught my kid to ride a bike. Great.
Right.
Love those. That's true, ironclad, like those.
Right.
But what I've also been saying is that, okay, well, if you spend an hour a month, core day, that allowance day, that that's the seed that you're planting, the consistency, like an hour a month, we can all do that, no problem. The rest of the time, look, it's like teaching manners. Oh, I don't have time in my week to teach my child about money. And I would say, well, you teach your child manners, and you don't think about that. You just say at the table, like, oh, where's your napkin, or whatever the case,
Sit
right?
up straight. That's what I say.
Exactly. All right. Here, I think I came up with a better one than the manners. I think the analogy, it's kind of like healthy eating habits. Okay. We're looking to create healthy money habits. But if we look at healthy eating habits, it's almost like science the science of that is nutrition, just like the science of money is finance. So you're a trained chef. You've been a chef forever, right? And I know that you do not buy with your money the food coloring candy, sugar filled, pop rocks, or, the whatever sugary nonsense ring pop. That's not your jam, right? You don't do that for your kids. They might use their money on it, but you don't do that. The science of it. Explain to me, Julie, the nutrition, what happens scientifically when that sugar and food coloring enters their body and their brain.
Uh,
Nothing. I yeah, exactly. Who knows? It's bad. That's what we know.
I
Ring
know, I was
pop
just gonna
bad.
say it's bad, it short circuits, it's bad for everything.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But, I mean, today Cassidy took this giant bowl of it was candy salad. She was doing this potluck with her friends, and she goes, "Mom, whenever we go to a potluck, you always take a salad, so I am taking a salad too." I mean, it's Nerd Clusters, it's Twizzlers
Oh
snapped
my
up.
god.
It's a whole bowl of candy salad, but she related it. I was like, "Can we just toss some lettuce in there?" She goes, "Oh," you know? But it was really funny that she made that correlation that since I take salads to potlucks, she's taking a salad to potlucks. It was so
God bless that
gross.
child.
God bless
That
that child, I know.
is good.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, right, the science would be nutrition, but what you do teach all the time is you teach behavior, right? In terms of healthy habits. You 3 times a day, all the meals in the house. It's like, "No, guys, you have dessert after. No, we don't eat that. Why don't we eat that? Because I want you to be healthy. It's bad for your brain. Oh, it's bad for your heart." Like, these are habits. This is behavior that you're teaching them around nutrition. You're not teaching them the science of it.
Right. I mean, you fill yourself up with all the good stuff first, and then if you have candy later as like the sprinkling, that's different. But we always fill ourselves up with nutritious food first. I guess that is exactly like core. It's like we go down and do all the, responsible things. And then whatever's left at the end of the day for the fun money, then yeah, okay, you can spend the fun money just like you can eat the candy when there's some left, when you're at that point.
Exactly. Now, how scary does that sound?
That doesn't sound scary at all, Alec.
Oh,
That
good.
doesn't sound
That's what I
scary
was
at all.
hoping you would say. So we like this analogy then?
Yeah, I do. It's a good one.
Chef Julie approved, everybody.
So tell me how you're gonna word that. Say it exactly. What's the analogy?
The analogy is basically, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna word that exactly.
That's funny.
No, I don't know. I have to work on that. But this is what I've been thinking about as I read this book, and I recorded a reel yesterday as I was driving for Instagram. Is just talking about some of this, and then as I was taking a shower or something, I was like, "Yes, this is the analogy. This is the science. This people are scared of the science. They're scared of the finance, just like, but they don't need to know the science. They only need to know behavior. What? And I'm just thinking, what are things like that? And I was thinking, yeah, nutrition. I'm like, I know white bread isn't good for me. I know there's something about starch and turns to sugar and like, that's pretty basic. A lot of people know that. I don't know anything beyond that, but that's okay. I just need to teach them behavior. I'm teaching them at the table. Hey, this is when we eat that. Why we don't eat that? Oh, there's 5 food groups. Just like, hey, there's food groups, Julie. Just like now there's 5 buckets, and now that we added the emergency reserve as a fifth bucket.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm just gonna say parenting is super hard, and
Amen. Amen.
there's a lot of pieces to it, right? I mean, I don't serve my kids like the most perfect nutritionally balanced meal every single night. And we don't sit down as a family and eat at 7 o'clock every single night. I mean, yes, I try to as much as I can. Maybe we sit as a family and have a home cooked dinner together that's really good for you, like 2 or 3 nights a week. And sometimes we need to get takeout. And sometimes it's like, you're getting mac and cheese because that's all I can do tonight? And that's okay too. Like I think you take like the big picture, right? So it doesn't have to be this like daily pounding of like money lessons and manners lessons and nutrition lessons. It's just this overarching focus of the family that I think as long as it's like part of the core of your parenting that like money habits are important and this is a topic of conversation and when it comes up we talk about it and then same with food like you put food on the table and most of the time it's good and sometimes it might not be the best but that's okay we understand
Exactly.
like
Yep.
what that baseline is like what's okay
Yep.
sometimes we watch TV at dinner Alex sometimes I just yes we
What?
sit at the bar and like I'll sit at the table with my phone and my kids will be like watching TV. That's not our every night. it's just when I just can't anymore, I'm like, "Fine,"
Yeah.
And I say that just because 'cause we're all human and parenting is just not easy, and so I think that's the thing. We need to
Amen.
give ourselves a little bit of grace and realize, like, it needs to be important and it needs to be at the forefront, but it doesn't have to be this hard thing that we do every single second of every day. It's an
Amen.
underlying theme of life.
Now, what I would add to that is that, what I hear so interestingly in the correlation between what you just said and core the whole sort of movement, the elementary starter course, like all of it is that you have an anchor in your house. I have that same anchor. Many families have that anchor, which is dinner. Dinner is an anchor. It doesn't mean it happens every single day, but it's something that you can rely on. Whether it's 3 times a week, 2 times a week, 1 time a week, everybody has to eat every day. They have to eat at dinner time. And so those are opportunities that you have to discuss some sort of behavior around eating that as those conversations come up organically, right?
Mhm.
That's the core day, right? That is the once a month having that conversation to know, okay, because money is a little bit different, that you need an anchor. The core day is that anchor, that first Sunday of the month, or if you make it the first Wednesday of the month, whatever it is. But we have to have that anchor to base everything on. Without that, we're a boat with no anchor or no rudder. It's just going to float, with the current.
Yep. Okay, so relating back to food, Alec, my kids, they eat really well and they're very versatile. I can take them to basically any type of cuisine and they'll eat it. I can take them to any country, they'll eat it. And so yes, of course they like, quesadillas and pizza and hamburgers and they'd love In and Out every night. Like they're normal kids, right? But if I make a tomato basil burrata salad, they'll eat that too, it's great because they're very versatile, and so parents for my whole life have been saying, "What do you do? How do you do that? How do you get them to eat that?" And I think the base of that, it's every day since they were born, I've just put out a bunch of food and I never said, "Oh, my kids don't like broccoli, therefore I'm not serving broccoli." Like, if I feel like making broccoli and serving broccoli, I'm serving broccoli. I don't force them to eat it. I don't negotiate. I don't bribe. I put it out there, right? So a lot of the dinners I put out are bits and pieces of things. I'll do a Mediterranean night where there's some chicken and some rice and some kale and some cauliflower and some lentils and some sauces. And I'm not telling them, "You have to eat this. You have to do it the way I do it." It's just like a mix and match. Sometimes, all of a sudden, they'll grab a handful of kale and put it in, or they'll grab, something that I didn't expect, and it's those moments where I just kind of like I'm like, "Yes, I won." Like, they did that
Yep.
on their own. They grabbed that kale, and they're eating it, and they're liking it, and I didn't have to make this huge deal about it or fight them about it. I just continued putting it out there. And it's stuff I like, so I'll eat it. And if they don't eat it for dinner, I'll eat it the next day. So it's nothing's going to waste or anything like that. But I think you can kind of correlate that with the core project and like you just keep putting it out there. That's your
Yes.
strategy. You just do it. And it might take a year before that like one thing clicks, but you just keep doing it. You just keep saying, you keep reminding them, "Well, how would you have done that different? Or what does that teach you?" And then the day that it clicks and the day that they grab that, handful of kale or the day they come to you and say, "I did it this way."
Yep.
It's like, that
Yes.
was worth it. That all of that was worth it. So strategy and
Hashtag
consistency.
winning.
Yes, hashtag winning and strategy and consistency, which is, what this whole
Yep.
thing is about. So, and not making it such a struggle or such a strict regimented, just the
Yep. Put it out there.
conversation, putting it
Have an
out
anchor and
there,
put it out there. Yep.
just getting the
All
thoughts
right.
going. So that's my analogy.
I was hoping Chef Julie would love the analogy.
Mhm.
Excellent. All right. Now, the second thing that I've been thinking about with regards to this book, and again, highly recommend this book for anybody listening. Absolutely fantastic. Again, on the back cover. So I'm going to reread those two sentences that were so impactful and digging into the book impactful. But then I'm going to read the sentence right after that on the back cover because this is the part where I was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Okay. So again, it's doing well with money isn't necessarily about what you know, it's about how you behave. And behavior is hard to teach, even to really smart people. Interestingly, randomly, I actually watched a full hour with the author Morgan Housel and a guy by the name of Chris Davis. Chris Davis manages the Davis Funds, a mutual funds company, basically, an investment manager for many, many years, very well respected. And the two of them were talking, and I was invited with I don't know how many other, whether it was 100 people, 1,000 people, 2,000, whatever it was, all of us watching. And they were talking about that, right? Saying that behavior is hard to teach, even to really smart people. And the author, he said, I want a mild calamity for my kids at age 20, somewhere in there. Meaning he was worried. He's like talking about his 7-year-old saying, well, he's growing up entitled. We have money in our house, but I need him to understand a little bit of that suffering. And hopefully something happens at age 20 where he kind of goes through something and then learns from that. And then beyond that, Chris Davis was talking about how Charlie Munger, very famous investor, what he said was, and they quoted him, was basically that young people fall into two categories as future investors: those that understand compounding where it clicks, compounding interest, and those who don't. So, to all of that, I'm thinking that is nonsense. You're rooting for your kid to have a calamity at 20. Only some young adults will understand investing, and that behavior is hard to teach, even to really smart people. You know who behavior is easy to teach to? Kids. We do it all the time. There isn't possibly a better time to teach somebody about behavior as compared to when they are young, when they're in elementary school, when they're in middle school. High school, it gets a little harder. It gets harder as they get older to change our behavior. So I was just really motivated by that concept.
Yeah, and I think the older they get and the more independent they get, it's harder to rein them back in. So not only, do you need to teach the behaviors when they're young, but even the difference between Cassidy at 12 and John at 14, I mean, he wants to be out with his friends from the time he gets home to the time he goes to bed, and he's gone all weekend. And Cassidy at 12, like she's still with me, I can still impart a lot of these things on her. And not to say that by 14 they're a lost cause or anything. I'm still working with John, but I think the older they get, it does they just get farther and farther and farther outside of your realm of influence. So the younger you can start, the better when they're like right next to you all the time. I've been taking Cassidy to the grocery store every week with me. It's so much more fun to grocery shop with her than it used to be
Well, when
because
does that change? Yeah, because when they're little, it's terrible.
when it's terrible. And now she's so fun. It makes it so much more interesting and fun, and we talk, and she goes and does her thing, and she takes her credit card over to the Starbucks counter, and she uses her money to maybe get a treat or whatever, and then comes back to me, but we ring through at the same times, and we watch the prices come up, and then we love when we put in the phone number and we watch the go from, like,
Oh, your
300 to
discount.
265, and we're like, "Yes." And we have a system of, like, putting the bags in the car. She helps me bring the bags out of the car. And just, I think the more you enjoy those times with your kid while you still have them by your side is just these moments are she's learning so much about how things should be priced and how to shop and how to, budget and keep control and plan ahead and organize, your thinking around money. It's been really, really fun. So I think the sooner the better. I don't think, definitely if you haven't started and your kid's 14 or 15, start now. But always the sooner the better so that you can start developing those behaviors and habits when your kids are still very influenced by your day-to-day activities.
Yeah, when you can really change their behavior. Like we just said, you're not teaching them scientific, mathematical concepts. You're just teaching them behavior.
Right.
They're more malleable when they're younger.
Right. This was a fun activity yesterday. Okay, so Cassidy and this candy salad, right? She and her group of 16 friends that's in this friend group of hers, which is a big friend group, they organized a potluck for lunch at school today. And the name of the group, they have a chat on their, they have a thread. And I think it's called No Feast, No Eat or something like that. Like basically, if you don't contribute, you're not eating. So you better bring something good and you better bring enough for everybody or you're not eating. So it's very
It's vicious.
specific. It is. And they organize themselves so that they didn't double up. Each person has their thing. One person's bringing donuts, somebody's mom's bringing Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets, somebody's bringing some soda. I mean, it's all bad food. And she owned up. She's like, "Yeah, it's a junk food feast. Like that's what we're doing." So she watched TikTok and she got this candy salad idea, which is, I guess, trending on TikTok. So she got the recipe and the whole thing. So she asked me yesterday, I need to go to the store. Well, there in itself lies a question of, are you paying for this or am I paying for this? Well, she doesn't have enough money to do this thing, and I think it's a cute. I think it's cute. I think it's a fun thing that they're all doing, and I wanted to contribute to it, but not go overboard. So I said, okay, I will contribute $20. If you want to go over $20, that's fine. I'll contribute $20. So she goes, "Well, you can't get any candy for $20." I said, "Well, let's go into
What?
Albertsons. Let's see."
Where's she buying candy? Tiffany?
Like those bags of candy are like $5 to $10 a bag. Candy's not cheap, big bags. And she had to make a bowl of it. I mean, it definitely was going to add up. So we went to Albertsons. Luckily, they had all these candies for like 2 for $5, 2 for $6, 2 for $7, buy two, get one free. There's
Mm,
signs everywhere. So she starts grabbing and grabbing, and I'm like, "Oh, no, no, we have to do this way differently." So if you have $20 to spend, and some things are 2 for $6, 2 for $4, 2 for $5, how are we going to do this math? We need one in this section, one in this section, so we start being really strategic about it and adding it up as we go. And I'm like, "Nope, you can't pick this one, pick from that category." So we did it. She got 9 bags, I think for $22 or something. But we stood there, we did the
impressive.
math. We didn't use calculators or anything, but I was like, okay, a 2 for $5, 2 for $6, 2 for $4, and buy two, get one free. That's going to come out to around this amount. Are you happy with this? Did a little bit of switching, ran it through, watched it come up, watched, how the computer
Mm,
system like broke it down. And I'm also like grateful for that opportunity that she had that moment of understanding of like, if I have this amount of money and I need to feed this amount of people and I need to use the sale racks, how am I going to put this all together? And so, yeah, was I super excited for her to buy crap that I don't condone? No, I did charge a candy tax though, and I ate quite a few nerds on the way home. I was like, "Mama, get some of this candy."
oh, candy tax is you dipping in saying, "I wanna
She
eat
goes,
this?"
we can't open that bag." I go, "Oh no, we're opening a bag." For the way home. I did take a little bit for tax. But, I thought, okay, fine. So I spent 20 bucks. But what was the value of that lesson right there? It was massive. I'm pretty sure the other 16 girls just said to their
Right.
moms, "Hey, go buy me donuts or go buy me Chick-fil-A, whatever." And the lesson wasn't there. So I think it was worth $20 to have that budgeting lesson, and I'm happy to pay it. And she was happy. She was excited about her candy salad.
I think it's
So
amazing, and it does make me think of what we were talking about earlier. We talk about fear of finance and fear of doing this and fear of starting. I heard nothing about finance there. I heard all about commentary on behavior. Okay, how do we behave in a situation where you're making a candy salad? Like, we don't want to throw unlimited resources towards this. We understand this is silly, but it's also fun. Let's have a fun budget of $20. Let's make it thrifty. Let's look at 2 for 1, or 2 for $5, or like all of that is behavior. There's nothing scary in there. I hope everybody listening to this and hearing that story from you says, "Hey, that's not so scary. I can do that with my kid."
yeah, and involving them in the process is not just educational. It was fun. Like it
Yeah,
was fun standing there and working out the math and talking about what candy was crap and what was good. I mean, it's all crap, right? But like
right.
she wanted to pay top dollar for these candies, and it was a fun conversation that left us both feeling good, and we didn't have to fight over the amount because I had been really clear, $20 is what I'll contribute, and I wouldn't have ever gone and bought the candy without her. I just wouldn't have, and I think, okay, this scenario could have gone very different. She could have said, "I need candy for this thing I'm doing for school, go buy it for me," and I'm like, resentful and go and buy a bunch of
Right.
candy at Ralph's and bring it home, and then she doesn't like what I picked, and then it becomes this really ugly, nasty thing, and nobody learns anything from it.
Yeah.
Instead, it was like a bonding moment in addition to a math, in addition to a money, in addition to a
Yeah.
budgeting, and it was a great experience. And that I think is a really symbolic thing of core, and kind of how I feel of this journey in general. It's taken what could have been either a wasted opportunity or a non-event and turned it into something that was like really profound in a lot of ways.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I know. Does this bring
Well,
tears to your eyes? Are you
I don't know about
getting a
tears in
sniffle?
my eyes, but I do love it.
Yeah. Everybody needs core. That's the long and short of that story.
That is the moral of the story. And the moral of this story, this episode, the psychology of money, Morgan Housel. I'm telling you, it is definitely, I don't know how many lives it's changing, but it's definitely changing my thought process. And I'm giving it out like Halloween candy.
Yes, and if you can't read the book, because people like me don't have time to read books, it's on Audible, and I listen to it, like, while I'm folding laundry, while I'm walking the dog. I'll listen to it in, like, 5 to 10-minute increments. I remember a story, I think it was about Bill Gates, right at the beginning of that book. It was a story about Bill Gates and the computer and the private school he went to,
Yes.
and luck versus, action and behavior, and that story really stuck with me. I was listening to it, in the car one day, and I just thought, "Wow, this is something my kids could really grab onto." So, I think just, listening or reading or whatever in whatever capacity you can, you're gonna get some real great gems out of it that you can also share with others and your kids.
Yeah, it's organized into 20 quick chapters. And like you, I don't have a lot of time to read books. So the chapters are really short. And some days I read no pages, some days I read 2 pages. And it's the kind of book where you can do it at that, whether you're listening to it or reading it. Totally.
Mhm. Agreed. All right. Well, I'm gonna finish this book. You've inspired me. I'm gonna shift my focus to this book, and on our next podcast meeting, I'll have a recap of my findings.
All right. Well, the goal is always to inspire one person, Julie. So I've done it.
Yes. Yep. I am
Mission
inspired.
accomplished for the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed now. Mission accomplished.
All right, Alec. Well, this has been fun. Thank you.
As always, thank you. Thanks everybody for listening. Always like to close out with the reminder that the best place to start your core journey is on our website. That's senseofresponsibility.com, CENTS, of course, and specifically senseofresponsibility.com/resources. That's where you'll find all about the different courses, the blog, the podcast, all sorts of different downloadables and things to help you start, improve this journey, whatever it may be. And as always, also want to ask you to hit the subscribe button, whatever platform you're listening or watching us on. Hit the little review, star, whatever it may be. And then, of course, Julie, we sign off always with
Teach sensibly.
teach sensibly, everyone. How many episodes till that's like reflex?
I get so nervous. I'm gonna mess up.
You can't possibly mess up, Julie. Whatever you say is going to be spot on. Teach sensibly, everybody.